Dude. Wow, it's kind of messy, dude. Yeah! Oh, you look rougher than a seashell driveway, bro.
I've been binge coding.
What's up?
Well, dude, I've got the greatest idea for an app. Okay, like, so you know how people like forget their umbrellas and like they leave them at home, and then Marino starts fucking raining. It's just raining, man. You just can't even stop it. So like they get out their app and they like punch in, and it brings them an umbrella.
Revolutionary.
Like, so like, how much would you like to invest? And will you build it? And can you do all the work? What are you doing? Are you looking around for like a pen to write down my cool idea?
So I'm looking for something to gouge my eye with.
Do you want to develop an app?
No thanks, Glooty.
I look quite grungy, don't I?
Okay. Time for a quick change. Alright, that's much better. So as you can probably tell from the intro, I get asked a lot about great app ideas and starting an app. And if you don't know about me, I have a background in technology. Started in networking and then moved into computers networking and then moved into app development early on in my career. I started making an anime website as a high schooler and then kind of branched out from there. I then taught a little bit of app development as I helped other small businesses and other things get their apps kind of established. And I've helped several startups get their apps built, as well as working at several larger companies and a Fortune 500 company, working on their app development teams, and then starting a YouTube channel for teaching development. And so I've been around the block, I should say. Here is my advice to anyone who's looking to make their great idea come into the world. And this could apply to app development, or it could just apply to entrepreneurship in general. So my number one advice would be to basically do it for a good reason. And that might, or because it's because you care about solving a problem. And that might seem a little bit obvious, because the first thing that you kind of do is you're like, oh, I'm going to solve this problem. That's usually the big idea, right? It's like, I will make this thing to solve this person's problem. The problem is that a lot of times, if your motive is really just to make money, I'm going to make this big idea, then you're probably going to jump over all of you're not going to enjoy the process of solving all the problems that you have to solve in order to get your product there. So like, I've worked with several people. There's some people who have like a really cool idea and they think it'll make a lot of money. And then there's people who have a really good idea that they know is going to help a lot of people, and they think that can be profitable. And those two things are very different. Your approach is very different. And I've seen people make it when they're just focused on money, so I'm not saying it can't be done. But I will say that a lot of companies, for the longevity, or a lot of ideas, app ideas, whatever it is, for the longevity, you kind of have to really be bought into the idea and the problem you're solving for your user, and you have to like somehow be intrinsically motivated to kind of follow that thing. 2, do you have the proper time to dedicate? So again, it kind of goes on the back of motivation. A lot of time people don't have the time to put into their ideas, and where it's really cool, I don't think that most people realize how much time goes into and how much time you sacrifice to make your idea, whether it be an app or a business. And so you've got to be willing to spend this time, and that means cutting time for other things. And this has been something personally that's been really difficult for me, is scheduling and trying to like constantly make time for the things I want to do. Like in order to do this YouTube channel, I had to cut out a lot of personal time and personal things that I would normally do. And that's cool because I'm passionate about this. And so I'm willing to make that. So because I have that motivation, I'm willing to make the sacrifices and spend the time to get the idea and the thing to where it needs to be. And then 3, I would say you have to have money to light on fire. So you have to be willing to invest both in the monetary sense, in sweat equity as it's called, and you also have to be willing to dedicate real money. You know, cameras aren't cheap, your app hosting isn't cheap, your you know, whatever you want to do and however you want to implement your idea or your app or whatever, it's going to cost some kind of capital. And even if it doesn't cost capital out of the day one, you probably are still going to have to hire people to do what you're doing day one, or you're going to have some people that are going to be part of this in some way, or marketing that has to be done, or whatever. So one of my old rules that I used in business is to just tell people, if you want to do business with me, are you willing to just light $10,000 on fire? And
You what?
if they're just completely appalled, you know, by that whole gesture, then it's like you're not ready for business. If you can't not even flinch when somebody says, well, $10,000 is pretty much just gone, then you're probably not going to be able to handle the stresses and the pressures that come along with doing whatever you're doing, building your app or creating your business, because it takes a lot of investment up front and you don't have any guarantee. In conclusion, you have to have motivation in order to motivate you, you know, and that motivation usually comes from being passionate about your idea. And then you can then put the proper time and reorganize your schedule in order to make time for this thing because you're really passionate about it. And then 3, you can invest some capital and then to actually put all this stuff together. Ideas are plentiful. I like the way that Carl Jung put it, is that people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And when you think of the world that way, it kind of helps you see that this whole thing is really, the ideas are less important than the act of truly, you know, taking whatever you're doing seriously. So, my dinner's done. So I'm gonna go take my dinner seriously. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully this was beneficial and helpful. And if you liked this and it's worth my fish burning in the oven, give it a like and share it with a friend and subscribe and all that jazz. So should you build your app? Maybe. If it's a good idea and you're really passionate about it, do it. Go for it. Absolutely. But don't think that just because it's a good idea, it's worthy of doing all those things we discussed. All right, guys. 2, 4, 5. Out.